text Chris.
Part of the meetings.
Oh, yeah, so I'll turn the speaker down. You'll still be able to hear us, but everything else will be cool. Okay.
So, and Renee
See if I can
texted
hear you.
me 5 minutes ago.
Nope, can't hear a thing. I'm guessing you're talking, so this is working. Nita, all right, if there's any questions, give us. I hope you be safe on your travels.
Yes. So 13th through the 17th are the dates of July. And I need to know as soon as possible so we can get that all set up so the city can get everything booked.
And like I said, she went to University of Cincinnati, so she has a ton of friends down there.
Oh, cool. Hey. Yeah.
At 4 p.m. We'll start with the roll call. So we have Craig Pepper. Craig Pepper, are you here? Okay. Dave Brennan.
Here.
Mark Tannenbaum.
Here.
I'm here. Jeff Zalonis.
Present.
Jason Wazorek. And Chris Kinder.
Present.
Fantastic. Okay, so we have next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the May 2nd meeting. which have been included in your packet in front of you. Okay, at any point, we'll entertain a motion when someone is ready to make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting on May 2nd.
Do we have a second?
I will second that.
Okay, seconded by Mark. Do we have any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, minutes pass. The next section or portion of the agenda is the public comment section. Do we have anyone here to speak? Gary, are you here to speak to us?
Well, I don't know if I'm really in a position to speak at any length, but certainly I should say a few words on what we're trying to do.
We have just a 5-minute limit on public comments, but the microphone is yours.
No problem. That won't take up that much time.
Do you want to?
First of all, thank you for an opportunity to speak before you. Can you hear me?
We can. We'll just ask you to say your name for the
Oh,
record.
okay, sure. My name's Gary Bukowski.
Could you spell it, Gary?
Yes, Bukowski. And, it's a pleasure. I just wanted to stop down and learn more about, the committee. And, of course, I have a specific interest in history and Erie's history. I'd like to think I've been a little part of it. Presently I'm at Sarah Reed Children's Center, and we're in a process right now of trying to rejuvenate the St. Anne School. And I just wanted to come by to try to learn and see if there possibly might be any funding opportunities, because, we're dealing with a building there, some of you might know, that right there by St. Anne's Church, that has actually a lot of historic significance that, I'm learning every minute. If you look at the cornerstones, one says 1897, the other one's 1945. And I've located some of the blueprints and that, and what I'm trying to do is really see if there might be some way to intertwine the history with what we plan on continuing to do there, because this summer, because of the support of council and the ARP effort that we made, we have a $75,000 ARP grant that we have got a summer program going for 20-25 kids. And depending on what the school district wants to do, because we're presently at Emerson Gridley, but if they decide they really don't want us at that site anymore, guess where we're going to be going? So we will be in a position where we would really expand the use of that existing St. Anne School building and really bring a lot of life into it. And of course, as you know, because I've studied your comprehensive plan when it first came out, but it's one of the most challenged districts within, the city of Erie, in the Pulaski Lighthouse District. And, the thing is that try to learn more whether there might be some opportunities to tie in the history and then the beauty of the facility, along with the fact that it's right next to what I still consider St. Anne's Church, even though I know it's called something different now, but then there's the beautiful rectory right there, and how that might serve as a little anchor to try to help and assist that neighborhood. Because when you have over 100 kids, you can make a little impact. And we work with some of the most challenged kids in the city as far as behavioral health. But at the same time, there's a lot of very talented kids. In fact, this summer, we're going to be in this summer program, we're going to be teaching the kids a little coding. We're going to have robots. We're going to get them out. We're going to give some kids some opportunities they never would have had in a traditional setting. So, and I'm here to learn. So that whether there might be some opportunities, I'm definitely in a historic preservation, but obviously we wouldn't be in the same vein as, a site which had to be so pristine it couldn't be utilized because we got little kids, younger kids. So, but thank you for the opportunity. That's why I'm here today. So, thank you.
Gary, you said your grant was 7,500?
I'm sorry?
The grant from the
The ARP was 75,000. 75,000. I'm sorry, not 7,500. No. So it was 75,000 ARP. Yeah. I asked for more, believe me, because I wanted to help 60 kids, and of course we had to bring down the barrier. But yet we've put some, skin into the game there as well. Because I've got $1,000 in books for the kids that we got donated. We got supplies, athletic supplies for the kids.
I just won't put them in.
Yeah, no, 75,000. I didn't. If I'd said that, no, I misspoke. I'm sorry. So, but thank you. And any suggestions you might give, I'm all ears. I'm also a history major, so for whatever that's worth, I have a sense of the history. And plus this year, I could give you a little history lesson, but we are celebrating our 150th anniversary year at Sarah Reed. And I'll tell you, very interesting journeys with what those 30 ladies did for this community and all the people that they helped. Because it created two facilities, the kids, children's center, and also the retirement center. So, but thank you. Thanks a lot.
That's my old neighborhood. I went to St. Anne's Grade School, so I know it very well.
Oh, okay.
So with it's interesting. I always wondered what was going to happen in that building. I was used a couple things here and there.
Right.
But hopefully that'll move forward and that'll.
Well, I'm hoping.
Positive thing for that area.
I'm hoping, David, because the thing is, we actually bought that building in 1986, and we were doing really well. But the school district wanted us to move over to Emerson Gridley, and of course, we don't have unlimited resources to keep everything going. So when they wanted us to move over there, we had to sort of do basic maintenance in that on the east side because they wanted us over there. Now they may not want us there, or prefer to have us somewhere else. Yeah. And what's nice about it is we own that, and we bought it in 1986, and we're there for quite a few years until probably I think it was like 4 years ago. So, but any insight you can give me? Actually, I actually dug up some of the original drawings, 1945, that I was able to find at the Hagen History Center the other day. And Monsignor McBride was the pastor there. And I never put two and two together, right? McBride Viaduct, right? So anyway, but very, 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 very interesting. And there is a lot of history in that. Also, the same architect that designed St. Pat's designed St. Anne's Church. Now, I don't know if the original architect was the same architect as well that designed St. Anne's Grade School. But we'll find out. But I was looking at how could we beautify the front, make it nicer, do some, where you see St. Anne's School, etch it, make it more beautiful.
Actually, William P. Ginther was the architect.
I'm sorry?
William P. Ginther was the architect.
Oh, okay.
He designed St. Pat's and St. Andrews and St. Anne's.
Okay. Yeah.
Prolific.
Yeah, it was. In fact, when you look at his he's like almost, I would say, from what I could see when I looked the other day, I mean, I went to do some research, and he designed these Catholic facilities all over the country, really, in Ohio, here, and some of the other areas. So, but no, thank you. But any other questions, and be glad to give you any insight. And I'm working on a lot of things, because I've already reached out, trying to, I've reached out to ECRA to try to get on some of their study. They want to study some things, and I'm hopeful we'll be on that study, because I certainly think there's a lot of things that could be done there. And also, not only historically, but just the fact that you're carrying on and helping children that maybe never would have been helped before. So, thank you.
Well, Gary, we're really appreciative of you coming in today
Oh, thank you.
and talking with us about the project. And it'll be interesting, right, to see if the school district does indeed choose that building for you to.
Right. Well,
to
they
restart
might,
your
it was interesting, and you probably wouldn't want me saying this, but I'm very candid. The thing is, they really wanted us over there so they could keep us sort of under the same umbrella. Well, then, the person who was going to keep us under the same umbrella took another position within the school district. And so, you know, that thing was didn't quite turn out the way they had anticipated. But the thing is that, you know, we've worked with them, and we've worked with, actually worked with all the school districts within Erie County. And, you know, nobody really is stopped from being helped if we can help them. I mean, nobody's really turned down. And I think that's, you know, that's the important thing. And we're all trying to make a better community. And I think this might just be another, you know, addition. And I saw, what was it, on Friday, you just passed $1.5 million in ARP funding for the parks area down there, which I'm a firm believer. Actually, we started a mini park in the back where folks at that time from GE helped us, and we put in a garden, a very beautiful garden, actually. In fact, I want to cry when I saw it a couple months ago, because since we weren't there, it sort of went downhill, but we've been in there since trying to reactivate it. And that would be also a thing that, at that time, what we did, we were growing flowers, we were growing vegetables, and so all these kids who didn't really know what vegetables were, they were taking them home, and then we were sharing them with the neighbors in the neighborhood. Because, again, that adds another dimension to the community. So make it more green, you know, because it's, a lot of these kids have no idea. I know this is hard to believe, and you probably have heard this. Some kids don't know what a tomato is. Some people don't know what a cucumber is. And we take that all for granted. So anyhow, but thank you, and it's a pleasure. And maybe afterwards, maybe I can walk around and just say hi and introduce myself more formally, even with our masks. Thank you.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
If I could comment, my wife and I ran into Gary and his wife at Mason Farms yesterday. Yeah. And so I said, hey, come on down and talk, and let's see what we can do. And especially with the idea of, you know, we talked about the Packard building, you know, with the architect that did a variety of important structures and kind of community anchors. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, I think that the architect and having a shared thing, I don't think the fact that it's a church precludes us from working with it, doesn't it? But I think that that's kind of right up our alley, would be to find these architects who were responsible for these significant buildings and then kind of celebrate that, and, you know, and then celebrate how some people have taken these structures and then repurposed them, because none of the buildings are being used for their original, none of these buildings are being used for their original intent, but yet they're still being utilized. Mm-hmm. And that evolution, I think, should be supported. Mm-hmm. Because if it goes downhill, then it gets torn down. Yeah. You know, so people have to use the structure for it to stay viable. Right. So.
Plus, it's an anchor for the neighborhood, just like ECAT.
Yes.
It's an anchor for the neighborhood, either at 6th Street, either at 10th Street, if that were to be.
Right. And David, that's the thing I always bring up, because I always give your comprehensive map, and what I did is I placed where Sarah Reed is located, because not only is that a possibility, but we also have another one, and it's called Hamilton School, which is in the city. So that's another possibility down the road, but since I'm trying to get St. Anne's up and running, back up and running, it just serves like a real, almost putting breath back into an old building that has a lot of capability. And up to 4 years ago, it was very much used. I mean, we're wired. I mean, we're going to plug in computers and all that. The library is actually very nice downstairs. We need some work on some of the refrigeration
And Gary and his wife live in one of Tom Hagen's renovated Federalist houses on West 6th Street. And they are in the district also that we're talking about creating. They live
Yeah. I live it every day when I go home.
Fantastic. Okay, thanks, everybody. Anything else? Okay. We'll move on to the old business. We have on the agenda the update on or pertaining to the City Council ordinance and resolution to hire the Lakota Group.
Yes, so May 18th, City Council did a first reading for the $25,000 appropriations to match the $25,000 grant. That was passed and then set up for a second reading on June 1st, and that passed. So we were granted the appropriations for the $25,000 to hire the Lakota Group. At the same time, the resolution to offer the contract to the Lakota Group was approved. What I am waiting on now is the contract from the finance office, and once I have that, I can submit it to Lakota Group for review and signature, and then we can officially get the plan project underway, which we are very excited to do. And I'll have more on that when I give my report here shortly.
Any questions from commission members? Okay. So then we're jumping on to new business, and the only thing under new business, Chris, is your report.
Yes, that we should probably add the review of the steering committee, which I'll talk about in my report, if you want to do that after.
I actually, yes, I figured we would
Okay.
just kind of flow with your report.
That
and
works perfect.
Okay.
Okay, so it's a bit of a long one tonight. I'm just going to go ahead and read it. I don't know if I sent it out ahead of time or not. So after several months of planning, we are about ready to begin developing Erie's first historic preservation plan. At this moment, we are waiting on the final contract to sign to officially hire the Lakota Group to complete the plan. And we hope to begin the project by the end of the month, end of June. On May 18th, Erie City Council gave first reading to an ordinance appropriating $25,000 to match the $25,000 Keystone Historic Preservation Planning Grant Award to hire a consultant to complete the comprehensive preservation plan. On June 1st, Ordinance 26/2022 was given a second reading and adopted by the council. And on the same day, the council voted to approve offering the consulting contract to the Lakota Group to complete the plan. To assist with the plan of a historic preservation, a historic preservation plan steering committee is being formed using the software CityGrows, which the city uses to put together committees and commissions. We have been accepting applications to serve on the committee since May 13th. Applications were originally due by today, but we have extended that to this Thursday, June 9th. So far, we have 5 applications that were received, and the applicants represent a good cross-section of Erie that we're hoping to expand on that just a little further. The committee will also include several key City of Erie staff. At the present, after I wrote my report, Aaron Snippert, Aaron Carey, and Deb Smith have agreed to serve on the committee as part of the city staff. The role of those steering committees is to serve as a sounding board for ideas, reviewing draft documents, and helping to identify stakeholders to interview and include in plan discussions. We'll also have a steering committee prospectus, which Lakota Group is actually forming right now. We'll have that hopefully by the time we sign the contract, if not before. We are still making strides on the designation of Erie's first local historic overlay district. At present, I'm drafting the nomination for West 6th Street. Once complete, we will be arranging a public meeting as required by the bylaws and rules of procedure to discuss the nomination. We also have a meeting planned. It's actually a second meeting on June 15th with owners and residents of Garden Court to discuss the nomination. They're going to be, right now they're going to follow the National Register boundaries. Once we have the second meeting with Garden Court and once the public meeting is held after the application or the nomination is complete, then we'll determine final boundaries. On Thursday, June 2nd, I met with Reverend Melinda Hall of the Cathedral St. Paul Episcopal Church to discuss the potential district. They were very welcoming and very excited about the potential of the district and very supportive. I'm also working on a local designation nomination for the Meyer Buildings, or PACA. We are attempting to include Meyer Buildings on the north side of the tracks as well, post office and what is Keller's, but have yet to meet with the owners of those properties. So once I meet with them, then I'm going to begin drafting that application as well, that nomination.
If I can, Chris?
Yes.
I did talk to Roman Stefanelli,
Yes.
and Roman is the new owner of the former Bourbon Barrel building,
Okay.
and that is also a Henry Mayer building, as
Okay.
is room 33.
Okay.
But I did mention to him the possibility of being on this, and he was positive about it.
Very good. Very good.
So I can give you his cell phone number at the
Please.
end of the event, and he's awaiting a phone call.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Yes, we would like to do that. That way we can start drafting the application and getting everything going.
More than that.
On May 24th, I gave a short presentation about the city's historic preservation program at Blasco Library as part of Hist-Erie Week. On May 26th, I was interviewed for an upcoming article in the Erie Reader. The article is about my job as historic preservation planner and the preservation program for the city. That should be out, I believe, if I understand right, for the June issue. So this coming week, we should have that out. 3 members of the HRC attended a training session for the Planning Commission on May 16th. As the work of the HRC and the Planning Commission also overlap, the meeting provided HRC members the opportunity to see how the Planning Commission works. On June 1st, we learned that we will be awarded 2 scholarship grants that we applied for. One will cover the cost of attendance for myself and 1 HRC member to attend the National Alliance of Preservation Commission's Forum Conference in Cincinnati, July 13th to the 17th. The other will cover $5,000 of the camp training that we are planning. That is now scheduled for September 17th. Camp training is a day-long training session by the National Alliance of Preservation Commissions. The training will cover several introductory topics to historic preservation on the municipal level and will also include hands-on workshops. We are waiting the contract for that. I should get that within the coming weeks, and we should have that signed by the next meeting. And lastly, on June 2nd, we received word that we will be awarded another Keystone Historic Preservation Planning Grant to help fund a citywide comprehensive historic resources survey for Erie. The grant totals $25,000 and is a 50-50 match grant like the one we received to do the preservation plan. We are still waiting word about our CLG grant application for 2022, but both the CLG and the Keystone grant will be used towards the same project, which is the comprehensive survey. Also, as a side note, I received an email the other day that our September 12th meeting is conflicting with another meeting and would like to move that to a virtual meeting if we could. I don't foresee anything happening for that particular meeting, anything major, so I felt we could probably move it to Zoom. So we probably should vote on that as well, if you want to also include a vote on the steering committee, which I can talk about the individuals that have applied so far.
Okay, to get the easy one out of the way,
Okay.
let's go ahead and we'll entertain a motion to move our September meeting to an all virtual meeting via Zoom to accommodate the issues with the room. Anyone willing to make that motion?
What happened July 4th?
July 4th, I think that's going to be, that's moved to the next week, July 11th. It automatically moves to the following Monday if it's on a holiday, which is why we're having a September 12th meeting, because it's 1 week after Labor Day.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to change that September 12th meeting to all of them.
Fantastic. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Dave. Mark, you're like, no, not me. Seconded by Dave. Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Fantastic. Okay, Chris.
She's supposed to be on the phone, I believe. Okay. She was a while ago. No. Liz Allen is on our Zoom. All right, so we have, as I mentioned in my report, we are creating a Historic Preservation Plan Steering Committee. We opened up applications on May 13th through City Grows, and that originally was scheduled to, the deadline was originally scheduled for today, but we extended it a little bit because we felt there were others who would also like to apply and be a part. The 5 that have applied need final approval by the Historic Review Commission to be appointed to the steering committee. The application also included kind of some information about what the steering committee will do. I don't expect, well, the steering committee will work hand in hand with the Historic Review Commission. So anytime there's a steering committee meeting, we would also invite and include HRC members. With that in mind, I would like to talk about the 5 who we have that are applied. They do represent a good cross-section of Erie, and we hope to build on that a little further by including a couple more citizens. The first one we have is Aaron Phillips. Aaron resides here in Erie, in the Old West Bayfront. I don't know how much of information we should give out on live, or we could just go over the basic information. I've included all the resumes and the actual application in the packet that I put in front of you. Erin is currently a contributing writer to the Erie Reader. She's actually the one who conducted the interview that I was a part of. Erin's also, I believe, a board member for Preservation Erie, Preserve Erie. And so she is incredibly qualified to be part of this steering committee, has great interest in historic preservation, also currently works on a blog called Old Erie on Foot. If you have not read that, you should. It's very informative, very good. And so she is our first one. Do we want to vote on these individually or as a group?
Let's go through, go ahead and present information on each of them.
Okay.
And then, because I suspect we can probably get through this with one
That works for me.
vote.
Next on the list is Johnny Johnson. We know, many of you know Mr. Johnson. He is a fantastic voice for the African American community here in Erie, very knowledgeable about African American history in Erie, and would be a valuable voice on the steering committee. If you recall, one of our first votes was to support the Shared Heritage Program, which he presented. I believe it was at the November meeting after I started. So very, very well, very knowledgeable about African American history, and I think that is very important to the plan we're trying to create. And so I look forward to him being on the committee. Next up is Courtney Barron. Courtney is currently the digital collections librarian at the Erie County Library. She's actually, in the coming weeks, transitioning to the Hagan History Center. Courtney has a master's degree, Master of Arts in Public History from Indiana University of Pennsylvania. She also organized the Hist Erie Week, which was quite successful. Very knowledgeable about historic preservation and very excited to be a part of the steering committee. Next is Michael Furman. Michael was recommended by Jeremy Blazer to kind of help as a kind of a voice on the east side. He has several projects. Melinda can speak more to his projects. I'm just getting familiar with Mr. Furman. He is currently the executive director of All Aboard Erie and the Lakeshore Rail Alliance. He's also founder and chair of the Three Forks Presque Isle and Interpretive Center. I know that's quite a passion project for him, so I think he would be quite a valuable voice. Pretty extensive resume as well. Last is Matthew Falcone. I know some of us are familiar with Matthew. He is currently a Historic Preservation Commissioner for the Pennsylvania Historical and Museum Commissioner. He is the Historic Review Commissioner since 2015 for the city of Pittsburgh. He is the president of Preservation Pittsburgh. Quite an extensive resume. His is by far the longest resume we have. Quite an educational background as well. Matthew owns a property in
Frontier Park.
Frontier, and certainly a historic home, and one that he's also asked about getting designated as a local individual landmark. So those are the 5 that we have at the moment. There are others that we're hoping to apply that would kind of expand that cross-section of Erie, that will kind of help expand the voices so that everybody's included somehow. And so those are the 5 we currently have. I think it's a fantastic group of people, all very eager to serve and to help with this plan, and I think will add valuable insight to the creation of the plan.
Questions from commission members about any one of those 5 applicants? Or words of encouragement or support for those 5 applicants? I'll say I know all 5, and all of them are fantastic, fantastic worker bees, which I think going into a project like the first ever historic preservation plan for the city of Erie, that is an important quality to have. All of them are passionate about local history. They're passionate about historic preservation. They're passionate about the city of Erie. They want to see the city thriving. And so from that point of view, I think that all 5 of them would bring different skills and experiences to this project. That would be incredibly valuable.
I shouldn't say that they're great candidates. I mean, I know 3 of the 5, but I read, of course, the resumes, and a very good group of individuals and kind of a good mix of people that will help benefit the plan and be able to get some really good input, which is what we need. Thank you.
Are there any concerns with the applicants? Are we?
How many total members do you have?
We have 5 right now. We are potentially adding 1 to 3 more. I think we would cap it at 7 or 8. And then there will be 4 members of the key members of city staff that will be included, and then myself, and also Bill Callahan from the Pennsylvania State Historic Preservation Office.
So 7 or 8 of...
7 or 8 citizens, yes.
And then
5 staff, including myself, and then Bill Callahan with the State Historic Preservation Office.
And the 4 members of the Historic Review Commission?
Yes, and the members of the Historic Review Commission.
We didn't necessarily talk about this, but one of the benefits of having or adding a steering committee to this project is that it gives us an opportunity to get more members of the community, residents of the community involved in developing a historic preservation plan for the city of Erie, because it's incredibly valuable to have residents' voices heard in the planning process. Now, of course, in addition to the steering committee or participating on the steering committee, there will be many opportunities for public engagement. There are, if I remember correctly, within the proposal from Lakota Group, they have an entire week where they're going to be here in town with their full project team to focus solely on community engagement, conducting interviews and meeting with members of the community via public meetings. So there will be multiple opportunities for residents to be engaged. The steering committee is just a kind of a more focused opportunity to get residents involved in leading this planning effort. So that's why development of the steering committee is such an important piece of this project.
Absolutely. I should have also added, once we sign the contract for Lakota, we will finalize a kind of a schedule for the preservation plan. That'll include meetings with steering committee, public engagement meetings. We'll finalize the dates for when they do come for the week to get to know the city. And so I should have included that in my report. But those will be forthcoming. Hopefully within the next month, we'll be able to finalize that schedule.
So again, the good news is with us being open to 1 to 3 additional applicants and leaving the application open at least through the end of the week. If we do as a commission identify gaps in the steering committee, right? Professional experience, we feel is essential for the steering committee, but is not represented by those who have applied. If we are concerned that there are certain areas of the city, like geographic areas of the city that are not represented, we have time to recruit. And there may be other concerns that we would raise regarding making sure that the steering committee is inclusive and represents the community as a whole. So we have these five are not the only five that we can entertain. So
Yes.
I think it's a great start. It's a great start.
would
Yeah.
would we, building on that, Mark would, and I don't want to put words in your mouth,
Go ahead.
would
Feel free.
would you like to make a motion to
Sure.
approve the appointment of these initial 5 people to
Yes,
the
I
steering
can
committee?
approve. Yeah, absolutely. I would be happy to enter a motion that we approve the application of all 5 applicants at this time.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Seconded by Jeff. Is there any further discussion? All in favor then signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Fantastic. So we have 5 appointments now to the steering
Very good.
committee.
And then, once the other applications are complete, they'll be able to join the committee, but we'll vote on accepting those at the next meeting to officially accept and approve.
So looking at this pile of paper, I also wanted to make note of the draft guidelines.
I was getting ready to
Okay.
mention that, yes. I also failed to put that in the agenda, but I did have a meeting with Aaron Snippert a couple weeks ago to talk about the ARP grants that will be used within local historic districts. This is a very rough draft. This kind of sets the outline for the grant proposals. We are capping it at $15,000. They can be, you can reapply for them. I believe we talked about after 8 months. So you can get one grant 8 months later after your project's complete, apply for another grant, as long as the funding is available. So we felt that that was a pretty good guideline to have. You can see the rest of the guidelines that we've pointed out within the draft. What I would request is that if everybody could kind of review those and then kind of email me or call me somehow and let me know any changes you'd like to see, any questions you might have. First and foremost is to get the districts up, but we'd like to have this program in place so when those districts are finally designated, that we can start accepting these grants. The grants themselves will be administered by the Redevelopment Authority, but the Historic Review Commission would be the ones that oversee the applications. So we'd be the ones who would vote to approve a grant, and that the grants would be tied to a certificate of appropriateness. Also, grants would be available to local historic districts, but also to districts that are in the application process. So if a district applies to be designated, as long as we have a complete application, grants can be available for resident or for building owners within those districts as well.
Chris, are there any match requirements?
There is, that is something we haven't completely finalized yet. We're thinking about a 15% match requirement.
1.5 or 5.0?
1.5.
1.5, okay.
Yes. That would, if you're doing a project, it should be pretty easy to match that fairly well. So we felt that was less onerous than anything higher. But that's not final. If you have ideas or suggestions on that, please feel free to let me know.
You want to put a date on when you want responses?
I didn't have a date in mind. Yeah, let's. I would even say by next meeting, by the July meeting, we can talk about it further.
Any comments to you by?
Yeah. Yes, and then I can fix the draft or make some changes, however necessary. I'm going to clean it up a little bit. It's a very rough draft, but it does give kind of some guidelines that we want to follow.
Excellent.
Aaron Snippert with the Erie Redevelopment Authority.
So we have officially made our way through the approved agenda. I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but I will anyways. Are there any items that are not on this agenda, but which should have been included, that we need to discuss today?
So, having had the honor of being a secretary for the HRC for a year, do we vote on new members? I think it's a year now.
Is this officially our one-year mark?
I think so.
Ah, okay.
With that in mind, I also wanted to say that I did receive notification, I believe 2 weeks ago, that Jeff has been reappointed by the mayor to serve a full 3-year term on the commission.
So we would perhaps, I might suggest, since we haven't discussed this yet, that we kind of tentatively set it off until the July meeting. But we can approve or not, come up with a slate of officers and or pass the slate of officers for, or at the July meeting. Do we have,
Well, when you say a slate of officers, you mean a list of,
well, since this is the first time this has come up, I think we need to talk about, are you interested in continuing as secretary? Who is vice chair? I can't.
Craig.
Craig. Is Craig interested in continuing as vice chair? Is there another person willing to step into the chair position, right? So because we haven't talked about any of that, I would say that we spend some time to talk about it and then come back and actually put forth a slate of officers for the upcoming year at our July meeting.
Yes.
Are you okay with that as well?
Yeah.
sure.
Okay.
So I'd like to share the joy of being a secretary with other members of the group. You know what I mean?
Well, I suspected that's why you were the first one to mention it. Okay. Is there anything else that needs to be discussed during this commission meeting? Okay. In that case, we will entertain a motion for adjournment at 4:45 p.m.
I second that.
I'll make a motion.
Dave motions, Mark seconds. All in favor, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, fantastic. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.